Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Point Blank webinar. Today's event is about our Bachelor of Arts honours degree in music business. And I'm very pleased to have with me today Lee Ehrenmez, who is our programme leader. Lee, thanks for joining us today.
No problem.
So we've got a great day in store for you. We're going to be going into a lot more detail about, obviously, our music business degree. Just to give you an overview of what we're going to be covering, I'm going to be doing a quick presentation, just giving you a bit more general information about Point Blank as a school, about the course, and also we're going to be taking a sneak peek at our brand new facility, which we're currently building, that's going to be ready for this September 2024. So really exciting stuff there. We're then going to be deep diving with Lee into the course itself and going through the modules, the content, and looking at a few sort of case examples of students that have studied the course, that have graduated from the course and what they've gone on to do within the music business and industry. Thereafter, we're going to be answering your questions. So you may have seen in the chat room, my colleague John, who's manning that, is going to be fielding all of your questions over to us for a live Q&A at the end of today's session. So if you do have any questions about the course or about anything, put those to us and we're going to be more than happy to answer those at the end. Now, one last thing before I share with you a quick video is that this webinar obviously is happening online, and it means that students from all over the world can attend and find out more about the course. So if you're not able to come to one of our normal open days, for instance, today's really a great opportunity to kind of deep dive into that program. So let us know in the chat room where you're logging in from. We'll be giving you a little shout out straight after this video. But for now, let's take a quick look at the course in general, and then I'll see you in a few minutes.
I'm Lee Ehrenmez, the Music Business Programme Leader at Point Blank Music School, London. When you start the programme at level 4, students will learn about things like the recording industry, music publishing, intellectual property and copyright, music management. The idea is that everyone gets a taste of all of those kind of main areas of the industry. Into level 5, where there's a lot more of the business management and branding, digital marketing, promoting. Students get a chance to do things like manage artists, help them to either start or improve their social media profile, making electronic press kits, websites, absolutely tons of stuff to do with collaborating basically with others. By level 6, you're looking at building a business portfolio. And you could hand it over to an investor or an employer, and they could look at your portfolio and get a very, very clear idea that you really understand the sector that you're specialising in and that you are absolutely worth employing or investing in.
The recording industry module oversees recorded music, how record labels work, recorded music rights holders in general, and how that entire side of the industry operates. People are diversifying their companies. Where they were originally just a management company, they are now a management and a label. Where they were originally a label, they're now bringing on booking agencies or being publishers as well. And so now more than ever, having that knowledge across the industry is super important.
There are so many lecturers here at Point Blank who are still heavily involved in the industry. We also obviously have a lot of industry connections. There's a wealth of people externally coming in all the time to do workshops, masterclasses. It's just a really fantastic, exciting and vibrant place to be.
Just say yes to as many things as you possibly can. Your contacts that you make at Point Blank are going to be ones that you probably will speak to 20 years down the line. That is going to be one of the most important things about coming here, because those connections, you're not going to make them anywhere else.
Assuming that somebody wants to work in the music industry, they should be incredibly passionate about it. Rarely do people get where they want to get to in this business without working hard. And building up a good reputation in the music business can take a long time. And that starts at Point Blank without question.
Amazing stuff. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and it's given you a bit more of an insight into the course itself and its contents. But we're going to be diving a bit deeper into all of that with Lee very shortly. Just very briefly, I just want to give a quick shout out to a few of you who have joined us today. There's Fabian over in Germany, we've got Ingrid in Norway, we've got someone joining us from Poland. So welcome, thanks so much for taking the time to find out more about our music business degree. Yeah, Point Blank really is a global student community, as you can see, and we welcome students from all over the world. So we can't wait to hopefully see you on our music business degree this coming September. Now moving on, I just wanted to quickly kind of give you some general information about the course. So the music business degree is a Bachelor of Arts honours degree. It's validated by Middlesex University. So Middlesex essentially quality assure and accredit our course, but everything is developed and it's delivered here at Point Blank, and it's very much developed in tandem with Lee, who's designed a lot of the course, and you'll be studying within our four walls here at Point Blank in London. The BA degree is a 3-year degree, so it's a traditional pathway, and we have one start date every year. We're currently accepting applications for 2024 and 2025. Hopefully some of you attending today have already applied. Some of you may have already been made an offer, or you're going to be starting with us. But for those of you who maybe are undecided and don't know if this is quite right, the best course for you, hopefully by the end of today's webinar, you'll have a better idea. Now, a question we get asked quite a lot is about study modes and timetables. So naturally, this being a higher education Bachelor of Arts degree, it is a full-time course. So typically we recommend you treat it like a full-time job. There are 2 lectures per week, but that being said, at this level of higher education, there's a lot of independent study expected of you. So aside of your lectures, you should be putting in extra time to practice, to collaborate, to work on new projects, to develop your assignments, and essentially, hopefully start up your businesses and gear everything towards helping you then find a career in the music industry. Our classes usually take place in the mornings, the afternoons, or the evenings. Point Blank is open 7 days a week. So as part of the course fees for the 3 years that you're going to be studying here, you've got unlimited access 7 days a week to come in and use all the studio facilities to collaborate and practice. Our class sizes, unlike other schools or universities, are actually quite small. So we like to work in a bit more of an intimate setting with a maximum of 16 students. That's ensuring you get loads of one-on-one, face-to-face time with our expert lecturers to help you develop and get better at what you're doing. Now, over the years also, we've partnered up with a lot of the main industry players, so a lot of software companies and hardware companies for our music production students, but also other companies related to the music business. So the Music Managers Forum, really important, as well as UK Music. They're great organisations to be involved with that can help our students into careers in the music industry. So we're really trying to connect you in every aspect we can with the main players that are out there. Now, as mentioned previously, something we're really excited about and we're looking forward to, and I don't know, Lee, if you had a chance to go and look downstairs at the new campus?
I've not put my hard hat on yet and gone down
No.
in my high-vis, so still yet to see it.
You're in for a treat. When it does come along, which is going to be September 2024, we've got a brand new facility that we're going to be opening. So it's going to be about 3 times the size of our current facility. It's exactly beneath us right now. And we've got a few mock-ups just to give you a general idea of what's in store. So we've got a brand new hub and performance space, and that's something that our music business students will be getting involved with in terms of putting on events or maybe social meetups, collaborative events that they can get involved with other students. I should also say, very importantly, that there will be a student bar, which is something that we've been missing at the moment. So we're quite looking forward to that. Also, we've got brand new vocal studios for our singing students, recording studios and live rooms for our music production and sound engineering students, but dedicated music business studios as well for all of you here attending today. We've also got a brand new library and some study zones for students to again collaborate and work together and share their ideas. Now, what's included on the course when you come and study with us? So one of the big things that we like to offer our students is one-on-one sessions with our expert lecturers. So these happen regularly. They can either happen online or they can happen in person, and they're great ways of having focused attention with an expert lecturer from the music industry. You'll have access to our world-class VLE, which is our virtual learning environment. So it's like an online portal where you can basically access all your materials, course content, upload your assignments. So you'll be engaging throughout the course through this VLE section. We also run a lot of guest lecturer masterclasses and events. In fact, last year we ran 184 events online, in person and externally throughout the whole year. So it really goes to show how much stuff there is to do when you come and study here. And a lot of those events, we want our students to lead those, particularly our music business students. And we'll be talking a bit more about that later on in terms of how we engage you. Furthermore, we also offer student support, wellbeing and counselling services. So that's really important stuff. We want to support you throughout your studies and help you, achieve as highly as you possibly can. Now, when you come and study at Point Blank, one of the things that we like to kind of focus on here is what we call the Point Blank ecosystem. We've got, as you might already know, a few different courses that we offer as well, like production, sound engineering, DJing, vocal performance. And so these students are also looking for other people to collaborate with. So that means that people looking to get in the music industry, like managers or event organizers, or people wanting to start their own record labels, have a pool of talent that they can essentially work with, producers, DJs, engineers, singers, that are there that also want to get started in the music industry. So we really encourage students to start collaborating, networking, working together, because that's how the music industry functions. And Lee knows all about this. We're going to be going into more detail about that too. It's about you essentially building a network of contacts that's going to allow you to access opportunities throughout your career. We do a lot of events and opportunities, so we try and connect you to the music industry. We'll do that through listening sessions or student showcases, gigs, masterclasses with music industry professionals. So we've had label owners in the past come in, A&R representatives, and they'll do talks about what you need to do to get a record deal, or what you need to do to get your business up off the ground, start up your own record label, for instance, or start putting on your own events. So really inspiring sessions to help guide you and help you figure out your way within the music industry. Also, an important thing I wanted to note and mention to you is that Point Blank has its own in-house record label, Point Blank Recordings. I urge you to go and check it out, and it's a great way for us to help develop and promote Point Blank student talent. So we want to hear your music. If there are any of you that are looking to do the music business degree course, but also produce music, make music, perform, then get your music to the record label. We're going to help you reach a wider audience and connect you to industry legends as well. So we're always on the lookout. In fact, that song that was playing a little earlier on was from one of our current students called Sam the Zoologist. Awesome tune. That's just been released on our in-house record label. So there's loads of great opportunities for other students to do the same too. Now, Lee, thank you for waiting so patiently.
No problem.
At the start of my presentation.
I just learned a lot about Point Blank.
That's good. So, I wanted to bring you into the fold, and for us, I guess, to kind of take a bit more of a granular look at the course itself. But before we do that, I think one of the important things to kind of mention is that all of our lecturers are active industry professionals, and that's exactly the same for you. I know that you've been working in the music industry for, well, tell us, how long have you been in it for now, and how was your journey into it?
Without giving away my age. In my teens and in the early 90s, there you go. So, like a lot of people at Point Blank, I started as a practitioner, bassist, which is probably primarily what I've been known as. So, a touring, recording musician through the 90s and thousands. Obviously, lots of things in the music industry changed. And lots of people kind of went into education. So I still practice. I'm still, a bassist and do all sorts of other stuff.
You're still gigging. You showed
Still
me a gig
gigging
you were doing in Tokyo not too long ago.
Yeah, that wasn't actually that long ago. But so, still gigging, still playing bass, and, still writing. That sort of stuff, but also manage bands. So I manage a couple of kind of great bands. And obviously, it's really good to kind of keep up in regards to research and practice. Is such an important thing.
Totally.
So, and as you said, like a lot of people at Point Blank, I still practice, still do lots of stuff. which kind of supports, you know, the education part of it, which now I've been involved in for over sort of 20 years.
Amazing.
In regards to music business education, so yeah.
So you're bringing a wealth of experience, knowledge, and you've been there, you've done it, you've made the mistakes, and you're here to help the students, kind of
Absolutely.
guide them towards the right path, right?
Yep, that's the idea.
Perfect. So focusing a bit on the students, what sort of student would this course appeal to? You know, who typically would want to come and do the music business degree?
I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, I've been doing this, you know, for a long time, and there's never like a typical group
Yeah.
of students. There's never a typical student. So, you know, there are people that are coming sort of fresh out of college, doing A-levels,
Yep.
18, 19, you know, may have had a year out, and they're inspired by the music industry, music business. Quite a lot of people actually are also creators, you know, people in bands, rappers, producers, who may, you know, be doing stuff, and they feel that they're kind of doing the practice stuff enough, and they need to, you know, find out more about the business.
Right.
And I have people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who may have actually been working in the industry for many years. They might have specialised in their kind of area, but they want to kind of find out more about, you know, the business.
Right.
I think the business has changed so much. It's so much more on people's radar, that just a lot more people seem to be becoming really interested in the business. And, you know, certain things like social media. I mean, you could literally be, you know, really engaging with social media and music and become interested in the industry
Yep.
through that, whether it's influencers or, you know,
Lots of different routes. into
loads
it.
and loads of different routes. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, look, we'll take a bit more of a look at the course itself. So, the 3-year music business degree is broken down into 3 levels, basically. So, a bit confusingly, it starts at level 4, which is the first year. So that'd be straight after your A levels. So, talk to us a little bit about sort of, you know, where a student is going to be starting in level 4. What does the course look like there?
Yeah, I mean, we won't talk about it now because it's pretty dry, but obviously it's, you know, important to know about levels. But if you're going into an undergraduate degree,
Yeah.
you will study level 4, 5, and 6 if you go through the whole
Yeah.
journey. In short, level 4, it's not a foundation course, but it's the foundation period where the idea is that you learn about the kind of key sectors of the industry.
Right.
So traditionally, people, you know, would talk about the recording industry, so labels,
Yeah.
music publishing, management, and live, and those are the 4 that I think, you know, the last 100 or so years, it's kind of those were the 4. It's definitely changed and it's expanded, but the idea is, by the time you finish level 4, you've done 2 things. You're used to the academic expectations.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
an undergraduate degree.
Sure.
It is academic, but then you're learning about the industry and a lot of the practice, and a lot of the assignments are very practice-based.
Sure.
So it's a real kind of blend of, you know, you're getting used to academia and you're getting to practice and do lots of kind
Okay.
of, you know, activities and exercises that you would in business.
So you mentioned very briefly the assignments. So what might those look like? What might a typical assignment be like for, let's say, the music publishing module?
Yeah.
What would a student be expected to do there?
Well, it's an interesting one to pull out. I mean, lots of people run businesses without having a business plan.
Right.
And lots of people say, I wish I'd have done a business plan.
Yeah.
That assignment for music publishing is a business plan.
Okay.
It's just another slightly different and less traditional way of looking into an industry. Music publishing is incredibly interesting. You can earn some good money.
Yeah.
But you basically build a business plan around an idea about working with people and artists and songwriters, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So it could be a case study, it could be an essay,
Right.
and there's, you know, case studies and essays across the programme. But again, the idea is that there's a real spread of different types of assessments, particularly ones that you would come across if you were working in industry, rather
Yeah.
than just doing essays and then an
So
exam.
it's very much kind of related to the real type of work that you would then find in the music industry, right?
Yeah, there's a theme which will, you know, come across during this hour,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, there has to be a really good balance of practice and academia.
Sure.
It's not just come in, sit at the back in a huge room with 100 people for an
Yeah.
hour, take some notes and go.
Totally.
It's practice. It's, you know, really
Getting
getting
stuck in.
involved absolutely getting stuck in.
Yeah, awesome. Well, let's take a look at level 5, which would be year 2. So some pretty exciting modules there, like live music and events. So what are students going to be doing for that, for instance?
So the live music, I mean, actually, that could have been maybe squeezed into level 4 because it's one of the kind of key sectors, but you can't squeeze too much in to the first year. The live industry one is a really good example of probably the best example of the practice and the kind of theory part of it. And we'll look at an example sort of case study shortly, but you're learning about the live industry, you're learning, you're reading reports and looking at case studies. There's the academic part of it. But you're actually basically working in teams, creating production documents, working on marketing resources, creating social media platforms, and you put your own gig on.
Okay.
So, which just so happens that this current term, the level 5 students are doing exactly that, which will.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a look at that shortly.
Yeah.
So is this, at this point, would a student kind of be figuring out, the direction that they're looking to take their career in? They could kind of like finding a focus on, what they want to do with their careers?
Absolutely. When you've finished level 4, you've covered most of those traditional areas.
Yeah.
And quite often students kind of find themselves thinking, I'm definitely more interested in, say, being a manager, or I want to start a label or work for a label.
Got ya.
Surprisingly, I mean, music publishing's like the sort of, boring, sort of relative of the others, but a lot of people finish the music publishing and go, I had no idea it was like that.
Yeah.
So the idea is you get to level 5, you're kind of working out which sector you prefer. In addition, lots of branding, promotion, marketing, making electronic press kits, press releases.
Yeah.
This allows you to team up with artists that are almost certainly on other courses.
Yes.
Lots of people work with external, people, artists that they meet in London, online. So, again, business planning related stuff, but more along the lines of the branding, promotion and marketing, but another opportunity to kind of put it into practice while you're learning.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome
kind
stuff.
of level
Cool.
5.
Well, I know that a few more people have kind of shouted out where they're coming in from, so just wanted to say hey to Eleonora in Italy. We've got Tom over in North Carolina. We've got someone joining us from Sri Lanka and Talanta in Kenya. So students from all over the world, as you can see. Remember that if you do have any questions for us, put those in the chat room. We're going to be answering them at the end of today's Q&A. So now's your opportunity to get those in, and we'll be answering them live a little later on. Let's move on from level 5 into level 6. So this is really the sharp end of the degree now. We're sort of kind of gearing up to the end of it. What are we covering here, Lee?
So, in summary, you're bringing together what you've done in level 4 and 5. By the end of level 5, most people kind of have a really strong idea as to what they want their kind of final project to be. So, obviously with the traditional uni, people often talk about a dissertation.
Yep.
And the equivalent that we have is called the business portfolio project,
Got ya.
which is made up
Okay.
of whatever people want it to be, and is often driven by their interest in whatever sector. So if you wanted to be a booking agent,
Yeah.
Book bands, then what would be in your portfolio? There'd be research aspects of it. There could be case studies, essays that you choose that you want to write,
Yeah.
which basically puts forward you showing us the knowledge in regards to your research, lots of market research, all that sort of stuff, but also a lot of the practical stuff. So again, that could be websites, social media platforms, video content, loads and loads of stuff.
Right.
But that's driven basically by you bringing together those first 2 years and experimenting with what you want your final project to be. And obviously you've got a whole year to do that. So yes, there's more business planning, as you can see on the screen. Looking a bit deeper into the legal aspects, because of course you can't, in the music industry, in the music business, if you're going to be working with music products, then things like people's rights and content
Sure.
is incredibly important. So very rarely are you a music company where you don't have to be thinking about the legal aspects.
There's a lot to think about.
And we
for
don't want to
sure.
get sued and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So there's lots of that sort of stuff. Obviously, a bit more focus on being self-directed. By the time you get to level 6, we expect to kind of see you, bringing some of that stuff that you've learned those first 2 years and sort of giving some of that back,
Yeah.
applying it into your project.
Yep.
And we're here, obviously, along the way just to kind of support you and start to tailor a lot of the education towards what you need rather than what we're telling you.
Sure.
Which is what's happened in the first 2 years.
And so the business portfolio project really is that's anything that a student wants to kind of develop, and it's something I guess that they can then turn into their business when they graduate, right? That can be the starting foundation of their career thereafter.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing to say about how we've sort of tailored the curriculum is that the idea with the sort of final product is that whether you want to go on, continue into education, do a master's degree, if you would like to go and get a job, if you are an entrepreneur and you think, I want to start my own business. So those are 3 different kind of avenues which you can think about when you leave Point Blank. The portfolio is meant to allow you basically to give that to somebody.
Sure.
And without even saying a word to them, you could say, here's my portfolio, open it, and they will get an incredibly clear picture of where you are, your learning, your specialist sector. There's so much stuff in there that it's incredibly helpful. And of course, employers these days, they, in addition to saying, yes, I've studied, I've got a degree, to have a portfolio is so important to show just the evidence of everything that you've, learned and put it into practice. So, as I said earlier, there could be so much like physical product in there, but lots of evidence to basically show what you've achieved and where you want to go.
Okay, that sounds really exciting.
Yep.
Amazing.
Really good.
Well, I know that we kind of briefly talked about the level 5, is it the live events module? And we kind of wanted to highlight, I guess, what some students have been involved with. Talk to us a bit more about what's going on here.
Yeah, so, I mean, one of the interesting things to say about this is what I'm about to say about the live industry, you can kind of apply across the board to all the sectors, in the sense that this is a good example of collaborative working. So all the students at the moment that are studying this module, one of the first things you do is you sit down and you are discussing and brainstorming and actually trying to identify what skills you might have, which you've never necessarily applied to anything. So you might be interested in the live industry, you might be more interested in another sector, but you have skills that you can apply to a role that you don't know exists and you don't, kind of know about.
Right.
So the live industry, as is the same with some of the other modules, essentially imagine an office/classroom full of people, booking agents, promoters, social media experts, production tour managers, and everyone kind of finds their own role. And yes, you're being taught by a specialist lecturer in the live industry about the live industry, but each week you're going out. There could be field trips, people coming in doing master classes, which could be a booking agent, it could be a band. It could be absolutely anybody. But during the term, you're working towards basically putting on an event at the end of the term.
Right.
So it's just a perfect example.
Awesome.
So obviously, as you can see there on that slide, in a few weeks, the current level 5 cohort are putting a gig on just up the road.
Yeah.
And again, just to go back to what you mentioned earlier in regards to the ecosystem, and the kind of typical student, some of the students in this music business class are also creators and performers.
Yes.
And they're performing on their own gig. And there are students across the other programs that are also involved in the event. So it's a brilliant example of sort of showing that evidence of how well the ecosystem works here.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'd urge everyone, if you're in London on the 4th of June, go down to the Jago and go and check it out. It's also a great opportunity for you to, meet us, maybe start networking, maybe meet other people, and meet other students here at Point Blank as well, and come and see for yourselves what it's all about and what your experience can be like at Point Blank too.
It's just worth saying as well that week there are other Point Blank events going on from the other programs, vocal performance students, music production students. I think there's sort of 3 or 4 events over that week in London. Really great showcase, basically, of what we do here with the students.
Amazing, yeah. And we do these sorts of events, all the time. As I mentioned earlier on, I think last year we did over 180 events, which was like one every other day, basically. And a lot of these are student-led, so there are opportunities for you to experiment and to work in this area and to learn and grow. Sweet. Well, one of the things you mentioned a little earlier on as well was the opportunity to kind of do field trips. So I know that, yeah, you took a class out to the Apollo. What was this all about?
Yeah, again, I mean, I know these few slides, it's a little bit live industry heavy, but you know, they do obviously apply to all of the modules. We do go out to other types of businesses, but just this was one of the most recent ones.
Yeah.
So again, you know, this partly comes from the fact that Point Blank, you know, most of the staff here are still practicing across so many different fields. We're incredibly well connected. So through somebody that has worked with Point Blank, introduced me to the tour manager, basically, who got us into Hammersmith Apollo on the day that Royal Blood were playing.
Yeah.
But just by sheer chance, they just happened to be sound checking, so we got a photo, got to ask them some questions. They were absolutely great. But prior to that, we basically spent an hour with the whole production team. And it was just great because everyone had a different story. You know, students asking loads and loads of questions, and because it was not at Point Blank and just those odd, you know, times where we can get out and just sort of, you know, go to an external thing.
Yeah.
They got a real feel for what a production of that size was like.
Sure.
And it's just, you know, it's a really good sort of confidence boosting thing because a lot of the people that worked on that team, and this is a real theme as well, you know, people will say, you know, we didn't know much and we still don't know loads, but you know, there's a lot of those good things that people say just about having the right attitude and you know, not being scared to do stuff. So fantastic education while you're here, but going out and speaking to people in the industry,
Actually
or that they're
seeing
coming
it.
here,
Yeah.
seeing it, you know, it's a really good thing. And we obviously do a lot of these, you know, sorts of field trips. So.
Yeah, of course. I know that we recently, I think there was a group that went out to for a similar field trip for a Prodigy gig that
Yeah.
happened at Alexandra Palace. And obviously, you know, every term, every year, there's not always going to be the same band, the same venue. There's going to be loads of other opportunities for this sort of stuff with other artists and acts.
But again, you know, in regards to even where Point Blank is based, it's just we're so spoilt for, you know, on our
yeah,
doorstep.
I mean-
It's such a creative, you know, area around here with like labels, publishers, just, you know.
There is so much going on.
So
yeah.
much going on.
You can't get bored, basically. Cool. Well, look, I think we've got a few kind of student kind of case studies that we kind of wanted to look at as well. Some are current students who are
Yep.
already kind of out there and doing it and getting involved in the music industry. So Jacopo, I think, is one of those. He's currently doing the degree, right?
Yeah, so again, I mean, a really great example of somebody who actually, as a practitioner, as a DJ, he'd kind of got himself to a point where actually he was quite happy and he thought, well, I kind of know what I'm doing in regards to my work as a DJ producer.
Yeah.
So he decided to come and do the business course. And he'll talk a little bit about that in the video.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's a DJ doing really, really well. And certainly the course, from what he's said, is just it's helping him to, you know, really, really grow. So
Yeah. Well, let's
let him
check out the
speak,
video.
yeah.
Yeah, and maybe, you know, there's no better endorsement than one from an actual student.
Yeah.
So check this out. This is Jacopo.
Hello, I'm Jacopo, a DJ and producer from Italy, and now I'm based in London since last year. I started making music when I was a child, and during my career I played DJ in a lot of big clubs between London and Italy. I released it on big labels and I get supported by international artists around the globe. I'm doing music business in Point Blank Music School since I always loved the business side of the music, and I always wanted to create like a side project like with the DJ career. Every day I'm near to people who love the music. I'm near to people who are like in the industry and are artists and are creative person, and so I get a lot of inspiration by them. Yeah, like we exchange ideas and all this stuff. So it's been like a crazy year.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, someone who's obviously kind of already doing really well for himself, but this is helping him take his whole business to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, the one thing to say as well is that some people come to study here and they're already doing things, and a lot of that you can apply to your assignments.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done. Yeah, and it's obviously working.
Cool. We've got another example here of a couple of students actually that have teamed up, right? So Lara and Huxley here.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us what's going on there.
Yeah, so Lara, who you see in the middle of the photo there, so she is a current music business student. And, you know, she's obviously learned a lot about kind of live recording and distribution, all of those sort of things, and actually wasn't sure where she wanted to specialise. And Huxley is a music production student at level 5, I think.
Yeah.
And essentially he needed somebody to come along and help him with all of those areas. So again, just another great example of 2 current students. I think he's got a team of people that help him in America, and she's still studying with us, but she's basically been given the job of his manager in the UK, and it's absolutely great. So, you know, they've got gigs coming up, and she's involving other Point Blank students who are going to be supporting him in London. So just, you know, really, really good example of how all that works.
Definitely, and even like whilst they're studying the course as well. You know,
Yep.
these are students who are currently studying and they're already getting involved in the music industry. They're already starting to work.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is never about come here, study, finish, and try and get a job. It's you can start applying what you're doing while you're here.
Straight
you know,
away, yeah.
That's how the course has been developed. You know, with that in mind.
Exactly, and so, I mean, obviously, you know, that's whilst they're studying. You mentioned what happens after they finish. So we've got a few examples of students, alumni who graduated and who have gone on to do some really exciting stuff. So Cheyenne here, she's basically started her own management company. So what's that kind of looking like?
Again, so when Cheyenne started, she had a kind of vague idea of what this thing is that she wanted to do, and literally every level, every year, every assignment where she could, she applied this idea that she had to run her own sort of management company. And by the time she got to level 6, she used that as the context for her, huge portfolio. And before she left the course, she was already putting nights on, managing, I think, 2 artists. In addition to that, she then started to run all of the live events for a Hackney-based venue.
Right.
And in the past month, you know, I mean, throughout all this time, in less than 3 years, she's been really active, but still continuing to look, building up her portfolio, and which the basis of that was the portfolio that she did here. And now she's about to start working for a big management company where she's going to be managing people like the Ezra Collective.
Wow.
And that's, you know, within less than 3 years. But it's because, you know, she got her head down and she just did all the things that you should be doing as a student. And she's just a great example of what you can achieve in a relatively short space of time.
Absolutely. Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Now, another example, and this is one I really like here, is Hannah. So Hannah did our degree, but she was kind of quite interested in the music industry abroad, in another country. So what did she end up doing?
Well, she had a really clear idea.
Yeah.
And actually, if you go back to, not that you have to do that now, but if you go back to the slides in level 5, one of the modules is called the global music industry.
Yes.
And of course, you know, we now know about a lot of these developing territories, you know, India, China, et cetera, but Korea being one of them. And she had a very, very, passionate interest in K-pop. And again, you know, another student that kind of put all of that stuff into her work. And not long before she left here, she basically got an internship at this incredible company and left here 18 months ago, and since has been flying backwards and forwards to Korea, working for this fantastic company who specialise in Korean pop. So yeah, again, just, you know, another example of got her head down, you know, just engaged, really engaged, you know, soaked in everything. And one of the things was that her portfolio really impressed this company, you know. So yeah.
Well, let's meet Hannah. We've got a little video from her talking about her experience and what it's helped her achieve and where she is now in her career. So take a look at this.
My name's Hannah and I study the music business degree here at Point Blank Music School. So I currently work for a music production company called DK Music. We're also a publisher as well. And I'm currently A&R/Southeast Asia representative for the company. I've really enjoyed working quite recently for the K-pop girl band LE SSERAFIM. We've worked quite closely with them on 2 albums. I believe both those albums have gone to #1 in South Korea, so it was really cool to be part of that project. So I chose to study here because I felt like the degree kind of covered everything you needed to know in quite a short space of time. I came into this degree not knowing really anything about the business side of music. When I saw the details of how it was laid out online, it seemed like it was the perfect way for me to start because it kind of covered everything that I thought was the foundations of the music industry. The very first module I ever did at Point Blank was probably the most helpful, which was doing copyright and IP. I managed to do my assignment specifically to South Korea, so I was able to actually get a little bit of background knowledge on how copyright and IP works over there. And now that I'm working mostly in the K-pop industry, I already had a good idea of how that works, so that was very helpful to have a foundation knowledge before I stepped into doing this role, basically. One thing that I really appreciated about Point Blank, your course has quite small classes. They're not very big in numbers, and I think that's quite good because it means you get to know each other very, very well. You get to make really good connections with the people you're in the classroom with, and it also means you get to know your lecturer really well as well. And the lecturers and tutors we had here at Point Blank, I think, were really great. They gave us a lot of industry knowledge and advice whenever we needed it. And they all kind of come from different backgrounds of the industry as well, which was helpful because they could give you different insights from different parts of the industry that maybe none of us really knew anything about. If you're thinking of coming to Point Blank, I'd say don't give it a second thought. The school is very supportive. Your lecturers will give you loads of good insight into the industry. There's always support for you if you need it. They give you lots of one-to-one time if you need that help as well. And I think the assignments that you get here genuinely can be put into practice into the music industry as well. But here, particularly with the business modules right at the end of the course, they can become very helpful going into, I think, any music industry job that you want to go into.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Hannah. So I think that's actually kind of really important to highlight there. And you know, a question that I get asked quite a lot is, you know, will this help me get a job in another country? And obviously, you know, the music industry is not just here in the UK or in London. You know, it's a global industry, and she is case in point. You know, that there are opportunities around the world that if you want to go and focus on a particular area of the music industry, then you have the ability to do that, and we can help you do that. You know, that's what coming and studying at Point Blank is all about. And kind of moving on to that, I guess, you know, we wanted to look maybe at some of the roles that people can enjoy in the music business. And there's so much that you can get involved with, right?
Yeah, and I think one of the important things about that is, as I said earlier, there are the very clear sectors of the music industry, you know, recording, publishing, live, etc.
Yeah.
But there's just so much more to it than that. And outside of the music industry, you've then got very close other industries, you know, in the entertainment, social media, TV, fashion, etc., journalism, you know. But one of the things that I think, particularly say from my generation, a lot of people didn't know to sort of say to you, have you thought about all these other things?
Yeah.
And the music business has developed so much, obviously partly driven by technology in the online space. But there are so many roles and opportunities within the music business that even if you can't get your absolute first choice, preferred, I would like to do this, instead of going into a completely different industry, there are so many other things to look at. So the slide on the screen at the moment just kind of illustrates that maybe there are roles, and even within those roles, there are other kind of roles and opportunities. And they're things that we obviously on the programme, we really cover that. So people start to explore skills they have that they didn't know they could map to some of these things.
Yeah.
Really important, which you do at level 4 as a part of the professional development module, is you start to help to kind of identify your skills gaps quite early on.
Yeah.
So then you can start filling those gaps. So, you know, you're looking at the industry, you're doing a lot of market analysis and thinking, you know, what could I do with these skills? Or if I wanted to do this, if I don't have these skills, I need to upskill. The program allows you to do that. So by the time you get to level 6, you just feel a lot more confident about going out into industry, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's move on to the slides.
Yeah.
And who are these people?
Ah, well, there you go. There's a question. Right. So this is what I often do as an example, and you can actually pick. You know, you can pick any genre, any market to sort of illustrate this point.
Yeah.
So if we had a bit more time, you know, you might bring these people up one by one and say, who's this, who's this, who's this?
Yeah.
And there you can see, well, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 people, whatever.
Yeah.
So there are a number of people that you assume, obviously, at this point, they're probably going to have something to do with the music business.
Right.
But you don't know who they are, and probably nobody online or in this room or anyone, I doubt, could tell you who any of those people are.
Yeah.
So if you go to the next slide, There's some information. So basically, there are their names, and then you've got a number of roles. And what this exercise is meant to basically show, I mean, you'll obviously see some of the roles that you might recognise, and there are things to do with labels and managers, you know, maybe business affairs, etc.
Maybe roles that they can enjoy as careers themselves in the industry.
Which is absolutely the whole point. And you might be looking at one of these people that have got a role underneath their picture that you could be doing in 3 years without having any idea what it is now, but you are perfectly suited to one of these things. And of course you've got stuff, you know, content, digital,
radio,
YouTube, etc., etc. But then if you go to the next slide, so this is probably where some of you might go, right, well, I know this person, it's Ren, who's a very well-known up-and-coming artist. But the point is, this is just a group of people, basically, that are collaborating on a campaign for one artist. So behind one artist and one campaign, there is a huge amount of people doing a huge amount of work, probably having a very, very good career. Some of them that actually would be freelancers. So if you're a digital creator, you could be doing this for 10 artists. But the point is that you probably don't know about these roles or how to get into them. And that's obviously a massive focus in regards to what we do at Point Blank and how the course has been written, just to try and open your eyes to the sheer volume of opportunities.
I think it really goes to show kind of the number of moving cogs there are, the number of different roles there are, you know, just to publish and to help one artist reach a wider audience. There's so much going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you could pick 10 artists. And for every one artist, if you've got 10, 15 people behind that, it just goes to show how many people there are working behind the scenes in the music business. And, you know, a massive part of you looking at that while you're here is really important.
Incredible. Well, listen, thanks so much for sharing that all with us, Lee. I think it's been really valuable, and hopefully everyone gets a better idea of what you're going to be learning here at Point Blank and what this course can offer you, the opportunities that you can get out of it, and, you know, the careers that you can then go on and enjoy in the music industry. That's our aim here at Point Blank, is to help you become the best versions of yourselves and successful in the music industry. Now, let's move on to our Q&A. Everyone in the chat room has been waiting very patiently to have their questions answered, and we've got a few of them here that have been sent to us. So hopefully you can help me answer those, Lee. And we'll start off with one from Metro, who wants to know, do you teach any modules on music distribution? So is that something we cover on the degree?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because before a certain point, people would have just kind of lumped that into the recording industry. Obviously, distribution being getting your music to other people, whether that's from a shop, in a truck. Obviously, the equivalent to that these days, in regards to the digital world, is we're all streaming. So there's a lot of information covered on distribution actually throughout the whole programme, all levels. You absolutely get some of that in level 4 with the recording. Then there's music licensing and legal affairs. We cover it there. There's a lot of distribution and recording related stuff basically throughout the program. And it is now, it's a sector in itself. You know, you've got, you know, loads of distribution platforms. You know, like CD Baby, DistroKid, etc., etc. So it is an industry.
Perfect. Well, hopefully that helps answer your question, Metro. Next up, we got one from Waticus, who's also from Liverpool. Welcome. Not that I'm from Liverpool, but I know that you are. They want to know, when will we know the timetable? So, Waticus, the timetables for our courses typically get confirmed a few weeks before the start of each term. For the 3-year business degree, you're going to be looking at 2 classes per week. Typically, we teach those during the day, Monday to Friday. So you're going to be either in the mornings, about 9:30 a.m. till 1:30 p.m. or the afternoons from 2 till 6. But we'll confirm those with you before the start of each term. If you do have any scheduling requirements or anything like that, get in touch with our student services team and they can try and help you if it's possible. Now, next up, we've got one here from Alexa. Alexa says, I've been a singer-songwriter for 4 years. And I'm looking to know more about the industry. Would this course be a good fit for me?
Yeah, I mean, almost every cohort since this programme has started, there are a number of creators, singer-songwriters. You know, going back to what Hannah said, actually, whether you're somebody that wants to manage somebody like you, Alexa,
Yeah.
or whether you are the singer-songwriter, IP copyright, absolutely essential. Registering your music, making sure you get paid, looking at how you can distribute your own music, looking at what's best for you, physical, non-physical, etc., etc.
Yes.
There is not a module on this program that is not relevant in some way.
Sure.
Some of them incredibly relevant to singer, songwriter, artists, bands, rappers, DJs, producers, etc., etc. You know, throughout time I've had all sorts of creators. So yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So please join us, Alexa. Sounds like it's perfect for you. Moving on, we got a question here from Sally Ann. This is an interesting one. She asks, are there many women on the course? Because we know that obviously, you know, there aren't that many women in the music industry.
Yeah, which we discussed looking at that slide earlier, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, although we can see quite a few on this
Yeah.
slide, and I think we got some very successful female students that have gone on to do incredibly well. What would you say in terms of women on the course?
I love this question because it allows me to say it's roughly 50-50 almost every time, which is absolutely great. It's just, yeah, perfect, because of course it would be a shame and it would be a challenge if it was mostly males. And there's a lot of stuff, you know, there's quite a sort of high-profile narrative about the industry is so male-dominated, and that is absolutely changing. And I think actually my program kind of shows how much it's changing, because it is 40-50%. You know,
Definitely.
Most cohorts. So yeah, it's great.
It's good. It's definitely getting better for sure, and it's really encouraging to see. So let's move on. We've got another one here from Boudica. It says, should I start now that I'm in my early 30s? So they're worrying that they're maybe a bit too old for this. Can you be too old to get in the music industry?
You could stick 20 years on that and I'd still say come, you know, on the course. I mean, I've had people in their 40s.
Yeah.
I've got people in their 40s.
Yeah.
And the one thing about the music business, I mean, people working in the music business at the highest level don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And in regards to like career change, it is absolutely never too late. Yeah, and I've got 20 years on you, and I'm still learning lots and starting and doing fresh things that I've never done. So absolutely.
Totally. Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, always be learning. You know, that's why we're in education as well, I suppose. You know, it's the excitement to learn every day.
And actually, you
develop.
know, yeah, and it's just worth saying that people that come in their late 20s into their 30s, a lot of those people have, you know, come from jobs, and it doesn't actually matter what jobs you may have done in the past. People I know that have worked in retail, they still bring these great skills.
Yeah.
People skills, soft skills, you know, maths, whatever, spreadsheets, anything. It's all really useful.
Totally.
So yeah, I would say come on board.
Cool. We got one here from BC. Who wants to know, do you cover A&R? It's what I'm most interested in.
Yes, absolutely. But so yes, we talk about A&R. Secondly, there are lots of students often that talk about their kind of specialist interests, which can, first of all, because of how a lot of the curriculum is, it's not all so prescriptive. It can be, you're interested in A&R, we can cover more stuff about A&R across various things. We can bring A&R specialists in to do visiting speakers, masterclasses. We can maybe take you to a record label to meet A&R people. Your projects and your assignments can be based on that. You can practice as an A&R person while you're here, because we've got hundreds of artists out there writing music that haven't got the time to do the management stuff.
Yeah.
And when you're not in class or working on stuff, you can be out there A&Ring our own students or going to venues, you know, around London. So yeah, it really is actually really, really positive if you've already got a clear picture as to what you want to do. And, you know, the role of A&R has really, really changed. It's a form of management. And yeah, so good stuff.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know, figuring out what they want to do, I think it kind of leads on to this next question here, which is, you know, do you help students figure out what they're best at? So it sounds like maybe they're not sure which direction they want to take their career in, like maybe A&R or live events or management. So, you know, do we kind of help them figure out the best way forward in terms of what their strengths and weaknesses are, perhaps, or?
Yes, so, I mean, I think definitely we sort of covered some of that earlier when I was talking about how, you know, probably like I just said, some of the curriculum, some of the assignments are do a business plan on music publishing. Some of the other things are, here's an opportunity for you to try out stuff and explore things. And the one thing about the skills, I mean, actually, I think a lot of people think that if you're going to work in the music business, you have to be this very outgoing personality, and it's not that. Like, over time, you'll be, exploring all of the sectors, trying different things out. That's how you work out what you don't and what you don't like. Or if you wanted to work in a certain sector, and you go, well, I'm not sure about that. We're here to kind of help you identify them, and then help you to, because it's not just about what's going on in the class. There are mentors here. There are so many people that work in industry. There are the one-to-ones. As you've said, the place is open all the time. You can walk past people. If you look on the website, you'll see that there are people that have worked in A&R, and you can ask to speak to them, and they'll stop and speak to you. So, there's so many things outside of just the assignments and the education, which are here to support you and help you find, your place, basically.
Absolutely, brilliant. Well, look. That's all the time we have for questions today. So hopefully it's been useful and it's given you a bit more insight into the course. If you do have any more questions though for us, do get in touch, either with myself, course advisor, or otherwise give us a call or send us an email. We'd be more than happy to help. Now, before we wrap up, well, first of all, I'd just like to thank Lee for joining us today. It's been awesome having you with me and finding out more about this course. I'd like to thank everybody who's attended as well. So thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to log on and find out more about our music business degree. Also, a big thank you to our production team behind the camera who've sorted this all out. And last but not least, I just wanted to share with you one final thing, which is we like to be judged as a school by our successes. That's the aim of the game for us. The aim of the game is to help you into jobs, to help you become the future of the music industry. And we've been really lucky that over the years that we've been in existence, many of our students have gone on to become incredibly successful and achieve great highs in the music industry. And I wanted to share with you a quick video highlighting a few of those students. Remember that this could be you. This is what we want to help you achieve. So we hope to see you very soon on a course. And do get in touch if there's anything else that you need. All the best. Thank you so much. Take care and goodbye. Ooh, let's see if it works.
Everybody feel it come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. Everybody come around with round. Everybody feel it come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. Everybody get down when we give it to you.
Everybody feel it come around with round. Everybody feel it come around with round. Everybody feel it come around with round.
Oh, yeah! Everybody in the bump. Everybody in the bump. Everybody in the bump. Everybody in the bump. Everybody in the bump.